somehow you guys seriously like this video. Like, this blew up way more than it was supposed to, so I'm back to do it one more time. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm DZBT13 here. Today I am back to cover Astrum in DivineZ. For a second time, this is, I believe, officially the first deck profile that we are covering more than once in DivineZ. So congrats everybody, we've done it. More work for me. Today we are going to be covering one of the quick start decks, which is Astrum, which, if you guys don't know, this is Brandt Gate's quick start deck boss, fully upgraded. Now Astrum is unique because he bears the Blitz archetype name, which means you can actually play a lot of your older Blitz support. And the fun part is that all six quick start deck bosses actually receive further support in DZBT02 Illusionless Strife, which is wonderful. I mean, I'm still on my way to covering all of DZBT02 as much as I can, and I realized that, this is also a deck I need to cover because, I spent a long time in DZBT01 talking about 6 out of 6 quick start decks. It would make sense for me to really go back and cover Astrum one time. Plus, you guys really like this for some reason. I'm going to put the links in the description for my previous Astrum deck profile, as well as my Cristiano's deck profile that was done pre-DZBT01. If you guys want to see an updated version of Cristiano's, help me push that video to 1,000 views and I'll consider it, just like what I did with Astrea. So without the way, let's get right into it. So this is our right deck. I mean, I don't really need to talk much about everything else. On energy, you obviously need energy crest, but you already know what energy is. If you don't, check the link in the description for my DivineZ Explain. We played Blitz Chief Mechanic Warten because he got promoted. We played the original Straza. When rolled upon, you can search your hand or deck for a grade 1 product order and add it to your hand. If you took one from your hand, you can draw a card. So it replaces if you did. If not, it just directly sets from the deck and it's fine. Your grade 2 is Uber. This is original Uber from set 7. So you Soul Blast 1 as an X skill, choose one of your products and operate it. Operate just means you use the skill. And then the second skill is that when rolled upon, you can destroy one of your grade 1 product orders in your order zone. Search your deck for a grade 2 product from your deck, or if not your hand, put it into your order zone. And then if you search from your hand, you can draw a card. So basically the same thing, and it's really nice because the Blitz set 7 stuff, the main power core, allows you to play a lot of grade 2 gaming that most decks in DivineZ actually do not have, which is quite surprising for a deck whose literal price point is 700 yen. Considering the fact, yes, you do have to buy the rest of the parts, but it's not a very expensive deck. And as you will see from this deck profile, the deck has actually gotten cheaper. And I know that sounds really weird, like why would more support make it cheaper? And you will see why in a bit. I know my previous Astrum deck profile, a lot of people complain, oh, why do you play Habitable Zone? Why do you play this and that? Why do I have to play Bobo Mine? Well, a lot of that actually disappears this set for very weird reasons, which I will show in a bit. But let's just talk about Astrum. Astrum, as usual, has the same skill. Come last one and search for a clone of himself, add it back to the hand. Previously, this was a problem, and I mentioned that you will have to use aiding monster tech. No, you had to use Secondal. You had to use Secondal, helpful monster Secondal, which I actually added into my Eva DivineZ deck profile. So you can check the link in the description below. That was my previous deck profile, or it's one of my more recent ones, and I also referenced this Astrum video. So as you can see, Brandt Gate is becoming more and more of a circle jerk. Now, Astrum can reliably search for his clone every turn infinitely. There are now ways you can infinitely reuse the Astrum copies up to, I think, 4 times, which basically means you have infinite persona, which, that's pretty good. I mean, if you ask anybody, hey, would you like infinite persona? I don't think anyone would say no. I mean, even if you were a deck like Avantgarda, I'm very sure you would benefit from infinite persona. Avantgarda, I will put a link in the description for his DBT13 deck profile, although he has very much fallen from grace. The second skill of Astrum is very simple. When this unit attacks, energy plus 4, choose 5 regards in standard. This unit, that unit, gain 5,000 power. Very simple, very straightforward skill. It's really just like OG Victor. I've said a lot of these points already, so I will move through it very quickly. Talking about our products next, because our products are our heart and soul of Blitz Industries, so we must talk about them in series. But you already know it. One is obviously we are playing 1 copy of Hasao. We play 3 copies of this is Lubezal, and then we play 4 copies of Blank Gyoza, who is actually not It's actually not a product. I've read comments saying, oh, this is a great product. Spoilers, it's not. So I'm gonna cover the products first. So for Hasal, his skill generally, if you just operate it, choose one of your opponent's grade 1. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the front row, retire it. If not, you draw and discard one. It's nice, it's a net 0, but generally speaking, you want to use this to snipe down decks that go wide, which is very helpful in the early game. A lot of people are trying to grade 1 game, they believe in mono red bullshit. You can say goodbye to all of that. Like a deck like Astrum, which is playing a combo deck, you don't want to face off against Rush. You don't want to be shot down. So installing an early copy of Up Hasal for your turn 2 generally means you can snipe off one of their rear guards at minimum. And if you manage to get other cards in this deck, you can shoot down up to 2, which is quite impressive. I mean, you basically get a pocket Blade Master, you know, on turn 2, and if your opponent's playing, you know, any sort of rush deck like Stoichia or Mono Red or Dragon Empire or worse, Keta Sanctuary Pile, you can kiss all of that goodbye because we are shooting all of them out of the sky, and it's very hard for them to recover because this deck does plus quite a lot. How does it plus? Through cards like Lubetzal. Lubetzal, when placed in the order zone, if your Vanguard is Blitz, which it is, you can draw a card and soul charge one. That's just its on place effect. And if you operate it, you look at the top 5 cards in your deck, choose up to 1 card with the same grade or less than your Vanguard and call it to the rearguard circle and shuffle the deck. If it's operated during the battle phase, instead of performing the Spirit Call, you just draw a card. This is not Welstra, so the battle phase operate doesn't really matter. You worry about the main phase. So basically, Lubetzal is a draw 1 cycle on place, and then to make matters even worse, it's a pocket Gurgit, just sitting there waiting for it to be tapped into every turn, which is wonderful. You know, this is such a great card if you ask me. I really, really like Lubetzal. I think this guy is definitely overtuned. Like, there's something wrong with this card. It's just really good. I don't know why. This card really saved Welstra. And yeah, you know what? I should probably link my Welstra DivineZ profile in the link description. So I think I will do that. So that's also there too. So you can understand how Welstra is doing. Which Welstra is actually doing pretty fine if you ask me right now. And our last grade 2 is Armored Van Blangdiosa. Blangdiosa uses Color Blast to install it. I've heard a lot, and I mean this, a lot of people ask, why don't I play more Color Blast cards? And it's like everyone forgot this guy costs a Color Blast to set. Like, I've gone through at least 2 comments when people ask me, I'm like, come on man, do you read these cards? But very honestly speaking, it's a good skill because when one of your rear guards is stood by your Vanguard's ability with Astrum in its card name, that unit in your Vanguard gain 5,000 power. So basically, Astrum gives itself and a stood unit 5,000 power, and then you repeat it again by using this guy's effect. So generally speaking, no matter how you play this deck, you generally always get a win-win scenario because you get plus 10k to 2 units, which is virtually very devastating if you're going first. And this card scales, which means every turn you set 1 more, you actually do get more power. I know some people ask, why don't I play Kilo Arm? Why don't I play Ramjet? It's because all they do is just add copies of these to the hand, which is cool and all, but I mean, that's only if you're playing in like a children's format, like, you know, Vagila. Like, that's the only scenario where playing such a strategy would work. If you're playing in a more dynamic situation with breathing humans, you're gonna need actual grade 2 game and some form of, you know, control, retire, plusing, which this guy does not do. It's effectively a -1 to a cumulative endgame to build a mini crest, if that makes sense to you. So that's really about it. I think Blangdiosa is still ultimately personal choice because there is an argument to be made that, you know, if you don't want to put yourself in card resource debt, you know, you can just choose not to play this card. I think it's completely fine how you choose it. Just make sure that you adapt to your current scenario. Moving on to our grade 3s in this deck, yes. We play a copy of, obviously, Astrum in the main deck, but we absolutely cannot forget that we also need to play 3 copies in the main deck. I don't have to explain this because this deck focuses on Persona, right? Yeah. And then, of course, we play 4 copies of this guy, Flyby Dragon. Flyby Dragon is essentially from turn 4 onwards, he Soul Blasts a copy of Astrum to be able to make himself a restander. If not, you can just Soul Blast any random card during turn 3 and he becomes a 15k attacker, which is still pretty good. And when placed, if your Vanguard's Astrum, you can count +1, draw 1. So it's basically Hanada half away. Again, I've gone through all these skills in great detail in my previous deck profile for Astrum. Please, I beg you, check the link in the description. It will save me a lot of time, so I don't waste your time too. Moving on to our grade 2s. Our grade 2s, we play 4 copy of Melt's Ringer, and then we play a copy of Uber. Again, very simple. We've already covered both. Uber is for a grade 2 right there, and Melt's Ringer is basically, you know, when stood by your Vanguard with Astrum in its card name, this unit gains 10,000 power. Very simple. It's from the main set. You do need to buy this card. It's an absolute necessity. But if you can spend, I don't know, 80 yen for this guy, yeah, he will definitely make your life a lot worthwhile. Our grade 1s, we still play Straza. We play a copy of Straza in the right deck as we've already established, but we still have much more surprises, and this is where the spice comes in. Hey, we play 4 Perfect Guards because we want to stay alive. We play 4 copies of Eldia, Rotor Visor, and then we also play 4 copies of this guy, and then we play a grand final of 3 copies of this girl, who is still a very loyal Blitz employee. As you can see, she basically allows you to main phase operate because you come +1 rest this unit. If you've not operated this turn, choose one of your products and operate it. This is your main grade 2 Salsa Gaming, and it just scales to absolutely astronomical effects. So you just need a copy of her in the back row, and that solves the rest of your game. But we only play her at 3 because our deck slots are really, really tight right now. A copy of the right deck card is obviously from the right deck. I don't need to explain Straza again. We play Perfect Guards because we wish to stay alive. Contrary to popular belief, when I play this game, I actually want to win. So we play 4 of this. And now for our Hidden Spice. This guy, very strong. He's from set 2. He's a common. As you can tell, both of them are actually commons. So when I said the price of this deck went down, I seriously wasn't joking. Okay, this guy, really good skill. At the end of the battle that this unit boosts, if a card was stood by your Vanguard's ability, you can retire this unit. Choose an Astrum card from your drop zone or soul and put it to the bottom of your deck. If you do so, and this unit is retired, you can counter charge 1. So basically, this is Astrum's very own Bobble Mine, in the sense that, you know, he gets his own counter charge, which you know Jiva took a whole year to get his counter charge, right? We took what, 2 weeks? We took 2 weeks. Yeah, but this guy is really good if you ask me. I think this is virtually custom card level of support, and I have great news for you. Every quick start deck has a copy of this card. I'm not kidding, and their effects are even stronger than Astrum's. They managed to solve Astrum's counterblast issue by giving you their own in-archetype counter charge, but very frankly, if you've seen the rest, what they got is much more dangerous. This just solves Astrum's problem. You should see what Triumph Dragon got. Holy shit. But besides that, the more pertinent issue is that these guys solve the fundamental flaw of the quick start deck. You know, when you run out of your Persona clones, you kind of just lose the game. Well, not anymore, my friends, because with this card, you basically get an infinite cycle for every copy of it you see, which means you should play this at 4 because you want to survive. You basically make Astrum into a freaking nightmare doll style drag game. Like, if you thought Lascaria Velano could drag the game, every every quick start deck can now do that with this clone, because it means they get up to 4 times the persona for the game, which, you know, if they survive, which some can, it spells the end for you. Imagining Persona riding every turn, you know. Imagine you told Avantgarde, you get Persona every turn. I think he would be very happy. I think he would be viable, but he's not. But Astrum is, and there's a reason for that. And my hidden spice for this deck, and something I'm very glad to share with all of you through my testing, is Eldia Rotor Visor. Now, for those of you who are wondering, what the hell is a Rotor Visor? Well, I'm going to tell you, because we actually have a Nova Grappler deck in DivineZ, natively, not just this sham of Avantgarde. We actually have native freaking Nova Grapplers referenced in DivineZ. Machino Blau, if you are still watching my channel, I hope you leave a thumbs up, tell me you're alright, make sure you're in good health, drink water, okay, people love you. Now, it's actually a right deck card, and the reason why we play it in this deck is because of its second skill, and that is when another unit stands in the same column as this unit, that unit receives 5,000 power. If the text seems wrong to you, it's because it's not. There is no restriction, no cost, no once per turn restriction on this at all. Completely free. You can use this as an early 8k beating vanilla. Just drag it back to the front row whenever you feel like it. Drop any one of your multi-attackers, or hell, any attacker, and when you stand it, it now receives an additional 5,000 power for free of Eldia Rotor Visor. It makes every restand more magic numbery. It pushes them for higher stats. It will kill. It really will kill. Two of this guy side by side on different lanes, and then you just, I don't know, for good luck, you could just have one of her if you feel like it. And that's basically it for back row, and you can just virtually win from there. And I know what some of you may be saying, but Ames, I thought you said you want to see this guy. Well, he retires himself, so he always clears the spot. And because he's clearing the spot, you can call something else, like this guy. And it's just so strong of a deck right now, just thanks to this. Rotor Visor, if you've never tried it, never seen it, it's for good reason. The deck is not very good. It's lacking a lot of pieces in between. You can try and solve it with Brandt Gate generics, but I've tried it myself. There's a reason why I'm not reviewing Rotor Visor. It's just not that good. But that being said though, it's a robot. We also play robots, right, Avantgarda? We are also a robot deck. So what we can do is instead use the best Rotor Visor support and play it for robot that the people actually care about. Which clearly from the last video, it seems you guys really love Astrum. And I'm glad to tell you that this card is a definite pickup and a fall off. So you don't need to worry about it because it's only a common, thank God. But yeah, just in case you are wondering, oh, I wish to play new robots from next set, you actually can cannibalize the Nova Grapplers for your own good. Never forget that. Last but not least, our grade zeros. Our grade zeros, we play Warten. I mean, I've already said we play Warten, so I don't believe this is a surprise to all of you. We play 3 effects run. We want to go wide with this deck. As I mentioned, with stuff like Eldia Rotor Visor, we can push for early grade 1 game aggro, and then we can multi-attack and stuff. It's just really good. You still need Elder Breath. It's your auto win con. 4 heals, play the Blitz heals, please. You know, it's Blitz. It's company. Play the Blitz crits, please. All of these have recently been reprinted in Festival Collection 2024, which is quite nice. I did not expect them to reprint it that fast, but okay, Bushiroad, good job. You are being more proactive than normal. I respect it. And then I just play 4 Barbie Zone, but you can realistically play any critical trigger of your desire. As long as you play 8 crit, okay, that's the moral of the story. And yeah, that wraps up my deck profile for Astrum in set 2. Overall conclusions is very simple. This deck is getting not only cheaper, it's getting better. I don't think we've ever had that so far in a long time for DivineZ, where a deck gets simultaneously cheaper and better. I'm shocked for words. Frankly, this deck received the best of both worlds. It gets direct support, which solves all its problems, and then it gets indirect support, which solves a lot of other things in between. And by no fault of Bushiroads, this was not intentional at all that they even get such interactions. It just happened. And when it happens like this, you can actually remove a lot of the expensive generics and play cards designed for you. This is something I feel that a lot of people playing Vanguard right now actually don't understand. Is that you buy expensive generics, you buy all the strong good cards, you are actually buying them to bridge the current weaknesses of your in-archetype in terms of the deck you play, the weaknesses it has. You're playing these generics to supplement it, and in the future when your deck gets further support, if the further support manages to overshadow the generics, you actually say goodbye to the generics, which seems like no one got a lesson. I don't know. It's weird to me that people complain, oh, this game is so expensive. Well, who asked you to spend 800 at one go? Like, don't you guys have meals to buy? Don't you guys have parents to support? Don't you guys have bills, children, commitments, anything? I don't get it. And now I'm just looking at a deck that literally cost me about 2,000 yen total and asking myself, what did I do right that I have a deck so cheap and so good? Frankly, I don't think I'll ever know. But if anything can be said from this deck profile, You should not look down on cheap decks, and you should not overlook interactions that can be abused. Eldia Rotovisor is by no means a card printed with Blitz or Astrum in its name, but the fact that it can overlay completely into this deck so well, it tells you that in a format where you get a lot of bad commons, there are still a few out there that do supplement your deck in the weirdest ways possible. So don't be afraid to test, don't be afraid to experiment, and don't be afraid to ask fellow people, hey, what do you guys think, and evaluate your opinions from there. Again, everything I present, everything I go through is not meant to be taken, as the gospel. I know a certain someone who does that. Please stop that. This is a message for you. But other than that, it's really good if you test and try it yourself, and you can see whether the strategy works for you or not. Even if it works for me, if it doesn't work for you, ultimately, I think it's just useless. I think it's just wasting everyone's time. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm going to try and finish more DZBT02. Wish me luck. Goodbye.